Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I am back. It is Sunday. Sorry I missed last week. It was Easter. My mom's in town, so I just thought I'd take the day off. Whoever's here, I'm just dropping stuff all over the place here. Thank you for your patience. My apologies for being tardy today. My one daughter, my oldest, doesn't like her father to do things for her. So I have to, she was hungry and she hadn't eaten. We all kind of slept late. And then when we woke up, I was like, oh my God, we have ice skating lessons. So I had to take my younger two to ice skating. I had ice skating lessons too. So I had to leave. And then when I got back, she was like, first she said she wasn't hungry. Excuse me. And then she came out like, of course. And I'm like, I got to get in the shower. She was like, can you make me chocolate chip pancakes? So that's what I was doing. Go away. I don't want to start a poll. Go away. Sorry, there's something in the little chat thing that says like start a poll. There we go. Let me make this, if I can make this full screen. Bigger. Anyway, is everybody doing well? Who's here? Say hello. There you are. Hi, Lexi. Hi, Makiken. Oh, so funny story about the earthquake. I think you're further south. So you might have felt it a little bit more. So the first earthquake I ever felt was back in 2011. I was in the bathtub. I lived in Hoboken. I was in the bathtub. So like the water started sloshing. I have a bed that they like advertise as like, it's so, I don't know, whatever, movement absorbing, whatever, that like you can't feel the person in bed next to you like rolling around, which you can, but like I was sitting there and I was just reading in bed. I wasn't like, and I heard like a rumble and I thought, oh, just a really big truck went by. That's weird. I wonder, like, I didn't feel anything. And then I like walk out in the living room. They're like, did you feel the earthquake? I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, and I so did not even think much of a large truck going down the street that I was like, oh, maybe that's what that was. And then later I was working out in the basement when there was like around 6 o'clock, there was an aftershock. My feet were literally on the ground, like, which is like, on the ground, connected to the ground. It's not like we have like any kind of, like we have tile in a certain area. It's cold just because there's no, anyway, whatever. Not that you care that much, but I didn't even feel it then. So I was like, my daughters came down and they were like, did you feel it again? So hello from Europe. Hi, Rathka. So yeah, so I didn't notice it. I don't know. I was more focused on the fact that I got to do a hypnosis thing on Friday. I signed up. So there's a woman I follow over on TikTok, and she does a lot of mindset stuff. Your power was out for 2 days, and what? That's crazy. Your power was out because of the earthquake, or no? Just that's bananas. So what was I going to say? Oh, I did this meditate. Okay. This woman I follow, her name's Kayla, the love coach or something. But if I find somebody who teaches, her focus is on SPs, like specific people, manifesting specific people, but really you can just take the techniques and like put them anywhere. And she talks a lot about just really self-concept, and I enjoy her energy and all of that. So, and she's like pretty down to earth. She's not, some people just get like where you just feel like they're like, you don't know that they really implement any of the techniques, and you're like, oh, she actually probably does. And then and she talks about this. She has a son who's autistic, and she does hypnosis with him, like to help him with sensory stuff. And so I just, liked her, followed her. And I think my shirt's on inside out. Oh no, it's not. I thought my shirt was on inside out. Sorry. So wouldn't be the first time. So she got certified to do hypnosis, and I've always hesitated to do that. And I know I have some blocks that were have been like a little bit more stubborn to get rid of. And so I just thought, whatever. So I did it, and it was so incredible. And also hypnosis is not what you think it is. Like I was in this, you think of it as like those people who go up on the stages and then they like make you balk like a chicken. So then you're like always worried about like what people can put in your brain and make you do. I mean, there's like all kinds of things. So, but she also has a really like soothing voice. So she records the session and then you can listen to it. She recommends you listen to it every night for 30 days. So I've been doing that. It's funny because I thought I was doing it wrong because, hang on. I have like I don't know, bunny hair or something. I don't know. Do you guys care about this? Do you want to hear more about this? Oh yeah, we got a ton of rain. See, I just am like, oh, event happened. I forgot about it. Yeah, we got a ton of rain. So anyway, so she did this thing, and I was like afraid that I was doing it wrong because I was like, whenever I do guided meditations, I sort of float away and I don't really like I end up doing my own thing. I don't end up following the person. Like I kind of like, so they'll be like, you're on a beach, and all of a sudden, like I'm in the sky, like off to the left in a forest. Like my goes, and it's not intentional. It's just all of a sudden I'm taken there. And so I was telling her like, oh, and she does a cool energy healing too. So if you're into chakra healing, whatever, her name's if you're, most of you, I think, are subscribed to my newsletter thing, I'll send out an email with her link in it. 'Cause she's really great. And you can check out her other TikTok-y stuff. But she, so she's doing this, she does like a energy clearing, and I could see like hands, and she doesn't tell you to visualize that, but I could just see all this energetic stuff happening. And then there was a point where there would be points where I'd be like pulled back in because my conscious mind would be like, oh, you're not following the script. Because so many other weird things were happening. Like I saw like a whole bunch of like reptilian things, like not like, when you think of people, but like, snakes. And I saw like a skink, maybe that's what it is. And then I saw like a weird looking being next to me. I'm not sure what that was. But then I also at a point saw myself as an old person, and I told her that. It's like, am I doing this? She goes, oh no, that's like actually a big sign that it's working. Because if you see like a lot of old people, or, it's like, that's the sign that the old part of you is dying away. And I'm like, sweet. So each night I've done it, I've had some shifts and changes already that have happened, and I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to see where it goes. I'll give you a full, like once I'm at the 30 days, especially, and I might even do 60 days. We'll see, because whatever, but, meditation, hypnosis, it's not scary. Anyway. Okay. So you're listening to my rambling. I appreciate that. All right. So I have Devry and then somebody else. I think it was, I like to tell you guys about kind of cool stuff that's happening. Regine and Devry, I have. I also still have my psychic development circle is still open. There's still a few spaces left. So if anybody wants to join, it's a superb deal, to be honest with you. You're paying $222. My hour for an hour reading right at this point is $200. So you're getting 5 full weeks of me teaching you how to develop your intuition and connect in with it in a really safe and comfortable way, and where you get feedback immediately. So, like, oh yeah, that's what it is. That's how I got it. Like, so it's like, it helps you develop that language, because, learning your intuition is a language. And also you're going to get some affirmations to work on for self concept, like where you can use them as journal prompts or just affirmations. And then a meditation or two. I haven't decided. And you're going to get messages, not just from me. Because sometimes I do give messages in the circles. You'll get them from the other people too, and you'll get to give messages. So it's like, it's a pretty good deal. I don't know, selling myself. Okay. So Devry and Regine, if you guys have questions, if you want to start, if you're here. And it's like 5 Friday nights with me. How awesome is that? Might not be night for you. Somebody from California, it's going to be the afternoon for her. general for the first question. You got it. Uh, it's like everything is going fine for you. I don't feel like there's anything you're asking out of like I keep hearing stay steady, stay the course. There's a feeling like you're scrambling a little bit around, and it feels like around trying to figure out and like um make everything come together for buying some of these properties and these businesses, and they're like it's like it's like I see you doing that, but they're showing me like literally everything is like kind of a little bit of at a standstill, but not rocky. So the feeling I get for you is like just stay the course, like stop trying to like make it happen faster than it needs to. They're saying there's no rush really. Um June, August, and November are highlight. There's something about October too. So it feels like more of the process will come along in June. Perhaps an okay or like so it might be like you're putting the paperwork together to get like either a loan or a grant or it's like I see like starting the contract type work and August getting the like granted the okay for it. So I'm not sure if that's like the loan process or if that's signing for the business, to be very honest with you. I'm not quite sure about that. Um, like as much as you're trying to scramble to make it happen, it's like they're sort of saying like it's going to happen faster than you realize and you don't have to like push for it to happen. I did hear she's happy where she is. Um, has there been an about face about you moving or getting your own place? I think you said you lived with your sister. And I remember there being like a plan to move, but maybe there's an about face and sort of like taking your time and saying, feeling like there's no rush at this point. And they're also saying, as far as that's regarding like kind of the more personal end of your life, they're saying things come in more clearly for you in October about what to do with that and the answers for that. Instead of all the business end of thing, they're sort of saying that it's really important that you spend time focusing more on your health and you personally. So I know that you see the business and you're creating generational type wealth is important, but that's not focusing on you, if that makes sense. Great message. I'm happy I just bought an Oracle card. Oh, awesome. Yeah, it just feels like and health doesn't even just have to be about your physical health. It's also about just emotional, mental, like focusing on self-concept, focusing on like doing more visualization about where you want it to be instead of this idea that like I know you come from a religious background, so I'm definitely not trying to knock that when I say this, but there is this idea in religious backgrounds that we just put it out there to God and hope that God gives us a sign and tells us how it's supposed to be. And that's perfect. So, and that's great, but when I do readings, I'm doing readings based on your energy and like where it's flowing, and I'm seeing down the road where it's at, right? So even with medical stuff, I'll see stuff before some, like, I mean, I had somebody on here who had a reading and she wanted to connect with her dog that had passed away the week before. And I connected her and I was like, oh, he's really worried about you being pre-diabetic. No, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. And then she came back to me and got a private reading. And it was like, oh, yeah, in fact, I am. I just got the diagnosis. So it's like, I see the energy there before it necessarily pops up in the 3D. So it's like, they're sort of saying, really spend time. Like, so when you're doing your meditations, spend time setting your intention. And if you're unsure of how it's supposed to come together, set the intention that you want your higher self to, or your future self even, to connect with you and show you what it's supposed to look like, or what might be because there's no supposed to, right? But what might be the best route, or the most, either the easiest, the smoothest, because sometimes the quickest route isn't necessarily the best route, because it may mean like a giant tower moment where everything just like, where it's like, oh shit, like where I was like, oh, I want this to happen, and then like, the house floods because you wanted to like pay for, you know so smoothest works too. Okay, all right, I leave you with that. Devery, are you here, Jerry? Is anybody else? Is Devery here? Did she forget? Oh, here you are. It's been 2 months and still no job. Oh no. Okay. So I literally hear, just take anything that comes along, but also think outside of the box. So I know that you've been really specific about what you wanted and the way you want it to be. And so you're only applying to those jobs, but it's a feeling of apply to kind of outside the box, where you might, maybe you have a little bit more of a commute. Maybe you can't do it work from home initially, but then it transitions into that. But it just feels like, be a little bit more willing to kind of go outside of that. And it's not because they're saying, it's not because it's not possible for you to have exactly what you want, but it feels like needing to shake the energy off in order to make that shift. So I don't know. I'm just randomly getting stuff. So I'm just going to tell you what it says. And I don't know exactly how it'll pan out, but it says, they're saying, when you try to move in so many different directions at once, you end up going nowhere at all. And I don't understand how that connects in with you. But it's just a feeling of like, take anything that comes along, because it helps shift you out of there's nothing possible to having at least, okay, well, it may not be exactly what I want, but there is money coming in. It just helps you shift into a different perspective and move your energy a little bit more. And also they're sort of saying, go outside of the box a little bit. um, so it's interesting. Like, I'm not saying, oh, go work at McDonald's. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like, there may be a place where you wouldn't think that they would have a job that you would want to take, but yet they have it. So it's like, I'm not saying that you like, but maybe in your mind, it's like, I'm giving this as an example. I'm not saying this is literally where you're supposed to go look for a job, but it's like maybe McDonald's actually has a work from home job, like somewhere where you would never think of it, where you would think, oh, the only job I could do there is if I went in and like, took orders or was a manager or something like that. And it's like, no, they've got stuff that's outside of the box. Same thing like with like Target or whatever. Like if they're just sort of saying like, think outside of the box and just look anywhere. Hi, Urban Lady. Oh my goodness, it's been a long time. How are you, dear? I know that's not necessarily what you want to hear, like you want specific dates, but I'm not getting that. They're sort of really talking about like just take anything at this point, like go and look outside of the box and like that's what helps shift your energy to get back into getting what you want. Because whatever that is, it doesn't have to be a forever job, right? I I'm not seeing, oh, it keeps switching to top chat. That might be why. Hang on just a second. Let me fix this. Where'd that go? Where'd it go? Hang on, give me a second. It switched to top chat, so that might be why I'm not. Let me get to the live and see if yours pops up differently. I'm not seeing any. I've applied to anything and I don't have the money to travel. I'm not asking you to travel, but just mean like, you know, um, maybe it's within taking public transportation or something like that. Or maybe you find a like a ride share type thing. Okay. That's just a feeling I got. I don't know. I can't force a reading. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give you your money back for today because you're pretty loyal. You show up all the time. So I don't want you spending money right now on a reading. And I'm not worried about it'll come back to me some other way. So I just don't want you to pay for that. Um, but that's just what they keep showing me. And so I can't like be like, oh, it's this time frame because I'm not getting a time frame. It's just a feeling of like thinking way outside of the box, like thinking like, oh, I wouldn't have realized that this place would have offered a work from home job. But I still feel like there's something close enough by. Maybe it's even like, I know this sounds like it's like maybe it's offering to do some house cleaning and stuff. I know that may not be your ideal, but it's like offering to do something where it's like you can start in the area around you. Like it's doesn't have to be where you're needing travel. Um, I just mean I can't get a time frame for you where like this is the job. They're not showing it to me that way. They're sort of showing me shifting a little bit of your own energy. So it's like thinking outside of the box to me is like, oh, well, I need some money right now. So let me start offering to clean some homes, see if anybody needs assistance that way. But I'm definitely, when I get done with this, I'll go on to PayPal on my computer and I'm going to refund your money. Just because when you're hurting, I don't want you're showing up. It's not like you're just somebody new who's never been here before and asking for a free reading. You've been here forever. Want you when you don't like, and I understand wanting hope, but they're showing out of the box in order to shift the energy. Oh, Miss Debris. Okay. All right, I'll look. I got you, Natalie. Sorry, NC. And then I have Rothka is before you. And you did too? Okay, let me look. I don't see yours, McKeegan. Maybe it'll come in a minute. Let me see if I can. I had a hard time doing the refund through the app last time. Okay, so Rothka, do you want to ask your question? Sorry, hold on. You see my mouth. Is there like a big delay? Oh, you're typing. Okay. Are you sure you hit sent? Like, did you get that you payment, whatever that went through? Let me see if I can. Oh, this is not what I want. Give me a second and I'll look. Okay, let's see. You have a receipt. Okay, I'll look for it and see. Maybe did you do for the one that has my picture or the one that has a butterfly? Generally moving to expand what I do with my work, starting a podcast related to my consultancy, sort of, and also thinking butterfly. Okay, so that's my other account. That's my old account. So in the future, don't pay with the butterfly. Pay. I'm gonna move it out because I'm gonna move it out to the other one because I can't mix. Like, so in order for me to keep my LLC, I really have to do my best and like not mix my personal and my business accounts. That's like what the LLC helps like protect me. So I'm gonna refund you that one and then have you pay. I know it's annoying, but it's I'll link you the right one. Okay. Give me a second. Starting a podcast related to my consultancy, sort of, and also thinking of expanding in other ways. Okay. Mercury and Gatorade. I didn't read that right at first. Okay, give me a second. I just want to refund Deborah before I forget. All right. And then, okay, give me a second. I'm going to end up, let me log in on a different area. Hang on. Oh, okay. Can you wait just a minute and I'll refund it then, since I just got your other payment? I'll refund you. Is that good? Thanks for your patience. And now I have to find where my YouTube went. Okay, here it is. Sorry. Okay. Thank you for understanding. Okay, Devery, you should be refunded. Let me know if you didn't get it. Okay. All right. You want to know expand work, starting a podcast, thinking of expanding in other ways, curious of guidance or insight as I do. Okay. So what's interesting is like it's when I was like looked at the podcast, I was like, okay, what about the podcast? And it felt like, when you like, well, this is like normal, but like if you like stop too fast and it kind of like the car might pull to the side, or maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's like just me in my head thinking like of a cartoon. Because I heard like skidding brakes, like tires kind of like I don't feel like you should not do the podcast. It's just a feeling of like um not giving up on it as quickly as you may be inclined to do so. um the other feeling I get is it's really important for you to stop trying to be so faceless with everything, um because back to you because of who you are, having to be like this massive wall up. It's like instead of like maybe like letting into your authentic, this is who I am, this is the work that I do. um it will help you grow more, and people will relate to you more, and be more drawn to your work. And it's important work that you're doing. um so there's that. So it's like I keep getting like, it's like putting up or building like a social media page, a TikTok account or something like that, but where like you're showing yourself more. Sorry to tell you that. Because you sh- because people are needing more connection and community. And so when you offer a space for that community and like a real person, and not just for the new one specifically, but it wouldn't hurt for the old one. But I sort of feel like you might end up moving a little bit away from it. Um, but it people are moving into a space where they just want to know who's behind what everything is, and like more authentically, and um, know who that person is. And so it just feels like it's time for you to start coming out of that shell. So that's what I think. Not what I think. That's what I'm getting. And I'm going to say this, even I know you, so I know I can say this to you, and not like you take it with what you want. This is not bad either. I think you might even benefit from doing working with Kayla, and maybe doing like the hypnosis thing, and especially with around your um, like sort of that reticence to be seen and kind of putting yourself out there? Yes, I immediately, when I saw that, I immediately got yes. But it might be something to look into. I'm happy to send you like whatever, and I'll like we can chat and I'll tell you exactly what I experienced and like some of the shifts and change I've seen already. I don't want to talk too much about it like outwardly um because I think sometimes we need to keep some of the things we're manifesting to ourselves until they happen. Um so but like I don't want to like out here just yet talk about it. And also because I don't know exactly how it's going to unfold. And I'm okay with that. I'm just like setting some intentions and so anyway. Um Excuse me. Okay, so I've got NC. What is yours? Yeah. So I feel like sometimes when we're just kind of like forming things that we don't want to tell everybody about. I'm an analyst at a bank. Okay. I'm wondering what you see coming for me in my career. I'm not sure if I'm advancing or moving companies. Okay. Um, Immediately I closed my eyes. I heard moving companies. Um, I kind of feel like you're going to be hopping like it's like one of those things where when I first started working, um, I started like as a nurse back in 2001, and it was like people weren't job hopping quite as much. That kind of shifted about a little bit later, and I didn't think much of it once people were job hopping more because I was a travel nurse, so like whatever. Um, but it's a feeling of like 2 years is the feeling I get, like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, kind of to gain insight and to gain and like more experience under your belt, and then also like to help like um, use it as leverage for better pay. But I definitely feel like new place. Um, I don't think it'll be any sooner than November, and it may be a little bit after that. So, okay. So I know they talk a lot, and you're an analyst, so you're sort of safe because you're sort of like, I get that. Like it's not going to be, but I feel like there's going to be like October, November-ish, there's going to be a dip. Um, I don't see like I know they talk a lot about big crashes and things like that. I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I feel like March of 2025 feels more stable and steady. I also feel like March of 2025 is probably when they're going to be doing like shifting into more like uh, digital currency away from fiat. Is that what they call it? Happy Sunday, KK. Good to see you. Excuse me. Um, I don't know why that felt important to share that with you, but it just feels like shit. Like you'll be moving, but I don't think you're moving just quite yet. By the way, I think you might wait until that March period of time. But again, it feels like gaining more. I'm trying to. I'm having a hard time finding the word for it. I guess wisdom, experience with different things, because I don't feel like you'll be necessarily working with the same sort of, I think they call them portfolios or something like that. I don't think it'll be working with the same exact in each company, but it feels like having experience here means you can move a little bit more into this space. So it's like you'll also be uh, finding it to be a little bit more interesting, not challenging in a bad way, but a little bit more challenging. So you're not like waking up and doing the same thing every day. I also wouldn't be surprised in about 5 years' time, maybe a little bit further down the road, if you're working more as a consultancy type thing, rather than working for a bank, like having your own consultancy type firm. Hi, Debbie. I'm like, they just said 8 years, but there's a shift in 5. So I don't know what that means. Maybe it's looking into it a little bit more. Maybe that'll be when you like start to really think about it. You're not my first bank analyst client, by the way. Excuse me. Okay, let's see. McKeegan, do you want to go? And let me see if I can. And then, unless Regine, you have another question. Let me see. Let me see. I was thinking maybe one of my kids was coming in. So, y'all, my mom. First of all, well, we went. So I did my first ice skating lesson. My first lesson from anybody ever. I know that sounds like really silly. I mean, I played an instrument in school, but that doesn't count. I feel like, but like outside extracurricular, and oh Lord. This is going to be proving to be annoying. Okay, not any of you. But my mom was like, I think I could do ice skating, like because we went ice skating for fun the beginning of when she got here last weekend, I guess it was. And my mom's like, I think I could do this. We used to rollerblade together, but she hasn't done it in a while. Like she fell at a point and broke her elbow, and I think she decided then she was just too old to do things. And she quit rollerblading. She used to go rollerblading in Houston. What messages? Sorry. Anyway, so she went ice skating today. I'm afraid I'm going to forget if I don't log in and do this for you. I'm going to leave it there so I can see that. Okay. What messages? What's coming in for me in life, whether it be love, finance, abundance during or after the solar eclipse? Okay. I want to say this too about solar eclipses because everybody's like, oh my God, it's the solar eclipse. I'm like, when big events happen like this, it's not like a one-day thing. It's like something that like for the eclipse, it's like over the next 6 months, you'll see things, and sometimes even over the next year. So just NC, I got another one. So give me a second. I got your payment for your second reading. So just so you know, like, I don't care what anybody says, like when they're adding like freak out and pressure and all that stuff. Don't. Okay. I just want to pay you back on your other one since you did that before I answer your thing. Jeez. Oh, you're kidding me. Stupid. Not you. Me. Not me, really. Just my phone acting wacky. Okay. There, I'm refunding you. Issuing you your refund. There you go. Okay. Done. All right, let's look at what's coming in for you. So it's interesting that you're asking out love because I'm like, what about that? What about that? Like I keep leaning into that, and they're like, he's not really putting himself out there. I'm not seeing a big change in work or anything like that, but I am seeing like this looks weird. I don't know what this is. It's a feeling of I'm trying to figure out what it would mean symbolically. um, Not that I think you're literally going to be riding scooters, but I feel like you kind of going out and finding your own joy, and doing things with a little bit more playfulness instead of like just the grind of the day, or the grind of, the work week grind kind of thing, is like actually like going out and just having fun. I think the spring is really good for you. Um, so you know how they talk about with the solar eclipse, like for certain signs, it's really about like seeing people for who they are and blah blah blah, and like might mean that like walking away from people. But for you, I feel like it's like letting go of this old version of yourself that sort of not held you prisoner, but kind of kept you captive in a little bit of like anxiousness, and sort of shedding that part of yourself. Um, I don't see any kind of like, I don't see you putting yourself into really like a relationship, because I do see some dating here and there, but more like November. And part of that is like because you're releasing this old version of you, and this old part of you that allowed relationships to be a certain way. It's like stepping into a new space where you're able to have a relationship in a little healthier manner. And I also feel like she's going to be a little different than what somebody you would normally date. I feel like, yeah, so the catalyst for the shedding will be the eclipse. And it may have more to do with like where the planetary alignment is in your astrological chart. Like this is the time for that shift to occur. And you can either like continue to hold like, so with astrology, it's not like this is destined to happen. It's like, here's what you can do with the energy. You can either use it to your benefit or you can use it to your detriment. And like, it's sort of like, this is what will happen with this energy of this eclipse. And then it has to do with the other planetary alignments and all of that too. And then your natal chart. But it feels like using the energy to sort of shed this old person who you were, who like allowed like anxiety to sort of, to live a little bit more anxiously or a little bit more rigidly about how it's supposed to be and where you're supposed to be. And like then shedding that and having a little bit more fun and finding enjoyment in life. And it doesn't mean being frivolous and silly, but it's just like I took ice skating lessons, and I'm not doing it because I want to be like this ice skating queen who's like, I just wanted to do something that I didn't get to do as a kid, and just do it for fun and practice and see to get better at it. Like, why not? Um, to heal that little bit of me that's like, wished she could have had something like that when she was a kid. Um, it's like doing something for the purpose of just doing it, not with the intention of like, I want to create a business out of this, or I want to, it's just to do it. Um, so it's like getting on a scooter and riding down the street like you would have as a kid, like not because it's like, oh, it has a purpose other than just enjoyment. Um, but it feels like you're going through that process of learning to just have enjoyment instead of like, I need to be in a relationship. I have to have a partner. I have to be in this, like society says this is where I should be at in my journey. And if I'm this age and I'm not doing that, then somehow I failed. Like where it's sort of like you're like letting go of those belief systems that have held you captive. That's when you meet someone who is definitely out of not who you would have dated in the past. So instead of being stressed about funds being tight, just trust that the money will come to you. So maybe it means that like you get an extra odd job, or maybe not an extra odd job, but like somebody's like, "Hey, I need you to help me move and let me like give you throw a couple $100 your way." Okay, great. Sure. Don't say no. That's the universe giving you money. And go, "Okay, great." And also, when you take the opportunity away from somebody to express like their way of like honoring, like maybe they need to honor somebody else's work and service in order to like also bring abundance into them. um I don't know. I've started learning to go, okay, and like just let people do things. It's like that's also how you honor community, is allowing people to help you. And we need more community. So it's like allowing people to pay you for your service. It's like, even if it's like a friend, if they're like, let me just give you a couple $100, or like, hey, can you watch my dog? Let me give you a couple $100. Instead of saying like, no, it's fine, don't worry about it. Be like, okay, sure, I can put this money away to go to London. Like, this is something I've always wanted to do. Um, just trusting it'll come to you. I know that sounds like silly and woo woo, but shit, it's how I live my life. And it's like just learning to like let people just do things. I don't remember what I did where I was like, okay, sure. There was something I did recently where I was like, I can't even remember what it was, but it was something kind of like simple like that, where I was like, oh, I'll let you, yeah, you can pay me. Okay. Um, I'm working on something where I'm like, it's like an old belief system where when people are like, I really want a reading from you. Like, I can't, and I'm always like, oh, okay. Like, I have this like confusion about it. Like, where I'm like, I don't, and I need to learn to just be like, okay, like I celebrate other people, like let people celebrate me. It's like something I'm working on. So it just feels like that sort of shifts and happens for you. Um, but November seems significant for that shift. Not that it's going to happen then, but like where you're going to like kind of go, oh, like, and you'll see different things come up in your life that are validating this big shift that you made around the eclipse. It doesn't mean it's going to all happen in one day, because most of us couldn't handle that much shift in one day. And the universe isn't ever going to overwhelm you so much that you can't handle it. That's when like nervous breakdowns and stuff like that happen. Um, okay. Let's see. NC, I think you paid for another reading, and then Regine, and then we can do some free questions. And McKeegan, can you just make sure it did refund to you? Oh, you posted. Okay, let me make sure. Oh, there you are. Do you mind looking a little more about my kidney issues, please? What should I be looking at? I'm being very cautious with what I eat and exercising. Perfect. Julia, welcome, welcome. How are you? So have they ever talked about you having like, it sounds weird, like blood pressure issues? Because I feel specifically like the pressure might be a little high in your kidneys. Like, are you getting headaches? Okay, great. Thank you, Makika. You have blood pressure issues. Do they have you on something that would help lower the blood pressure specifically in your kidneys? I know that sounds weird, but I think I recall there being some medication that does that. And are you on like are you on I don't know if I've asked you this before. Are you on a GLP-1, or like like Ozempic or Manjaro, or I think there's a couple other ones. It's controlled right now. You're on Mounjaro. Okay. Have you been on it 3 months already? So I'm getting something about 3 months. I don't know if you've been on it 3 months or if we need to, like, it's in 3 months. It feels like needing to shift medications is the feeling I get. So Champagne, these are not free readings; they're paid readings. They're $12 a reading, and 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. It's the cheapest reading you'll get from me. So it may be at 3 months where they end up shifting you, and it feels more like I don't know if something new will be introduced or new uh, studies or finding will find that with what you have, another medication is actually a better treatment source for you. So it's either at 3 months of being on it or in 3 months. I'm sorry, I'm not like better about that. I asked in 3 months. I'm like, okay, so in 3 months, feeling like maybe needing to switch, and not because Mounjaro is not working, but because this other one shows much more promising data. Um, hang on just a second. I will share a link with you. And then just pick who you want me to connect with, only because mediumship takes a little bit longer. So doing 2 would be just basically like a full private reading. Oh, okay. Have you had bladder stones before? So I'm going to say this. I don't think that you're necessarily doing anything wrong or that you should be doing anything differently. I do think walking is really, really good for you and not overdoing it. Um, I'm like you're doing right with water because I feel like you're getting a good amount in, but not too much because I know that there's a really good, like it's really important balance. And you don't want to like overwhelm your kidneys. So I feel like you're doing everything right. It's just that's the only thing I see that might change. And it might change because maybe they find that it shows a promising, does better with helping with blood pressure slash um, insulin, da, 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 like all those different things that it helps with. The one thing they want to kind of talk to you about too is like stop if you can harping on yourself or being hard on yourself about weight, like not losing it fast enough or not like seeing a big enough change, because that sort of in effect just again it stagnates that energy. And you hear me talk about that, like you're when you kind of stop the energy up, then it's like when we shame ourselves or we feel guilty or we are really hard on ourselves about stuff, it actually makes us freeze instead of move through it. So it's sort of like be gentle with yourself. Your body has fat is inflammation, and we stop like making it about status or like not working hard enough and really look at it as like there's pathology to it, and it's about inflammation and there's an inflammatory process going on in your body, and removing that, then it's not about willpower. um it feels like it shifts kind of a little bit then. So they're saying like just stop shaming yourself for it. Just be like, oh, my body, I finally realized that my body's letting me know that there's something wrong. And this idea that people have where they're like, look, I lost the weight in 10 minutes. It's like, no, no, it doesn't work that way. And um, it's okay to take time to get there. Okay. So be gentle with yourself as you go through this process and not shaming yourself. Be kind to yourself. Speak kindly to your body. All of your cells hear you. They all resonate with the energy that you put out. And so be gentle with them, be kind with them, be respectful, and be grateful for them, because maybe they're not in the best shape right now, but they have held on and maintained and gotten you through, and they're going to keep doing that. So, okay. All right, we'll do one last reading here. Did I get everybody's? Yeah, I think so. Oh, wait, NC, did I get your second question? I don't think I did. NC, what's your second question? And then I'll do champagnes. And then, oh, I'm in my early 30s and ready to find love. Okay, so what do I see around that? Gotcha. So let me do NC, and then I'll do champagne. And then if we want to do kind of general questions, like what's going on in the, pop culture, university, whatever, that's fine. I'll do those. Okay, so so I'm going to say this because I see it a lot. When we don't put ourselves out there, we cannot find love. So it's not even just about like, so I see you very, very career oriented. And I even see you like people interested around you, but not um, like being respectful of like this very professional wall that you put up. Um, I actually feel like when you meet someone, it's going to be a coworker. It's not going to be somebody who, or somebody who works in the same field. I don't feel like it's going to be somebody like meeting them on a dating app. I don't feel that for you. And it may not be like a direct coworker. It may be somebody who's an attorney for the bank that you work for. Because I feel like they're more on the legal side of things. And it doesn't mean you're never going to date in between now and then, but it feels like this is happening maybe next year. It doesn't feel like a this year thing. I do feel like he wears glasses, if you're wondering. And I don't feel like he's like a big guy. Like maybe 5'9", 5'10". He has darker hair and brown eyes. So I'm leaving it at that. Now, does it mean like, oh my God, she said brown hair, brown eyes. Should I date this guy who has blue eyes? Yeah, go for it. Maybe there's just something to learn from it. But it just feels like I feel like he's very respectful of boundaries. And so I'll leave it at that. Hopefully that's helpful. Champagne, which sibling would you like to connect with? Oh, he sounds like your type. Okay. Radel, is that how you say it? I want to make sure I pronounce his name right, out of respect. When I said his name, I felt pressure on my windpipe. Does that resonate when I say that for something that he passed up? So it's a feeling of either I'm having direct pressure on it, like something is putting pressure on my windpipe. He died at a hospital. Would he have had or something where he would have aspirated. So, do you know where, like, there's something he's focusing on here. So if I get a gunshot, I would have felt like here, but he's focusing on feeling like there's a breathing issue here. So would he have gotten shot? Maybe he had blood that kind of, it feels like more of a, like, I didn't die of the gunshot. I died of a respiratory issue, maybe because of the gunshot. Also, I feel like he would have been atheist. I don't feel any, like, not a spiritual bone in his body. Um, I also like, he's got, an interesting sense of humor because he says like, "Oh, she's always trying to connect." And I feel like he gives you for doubting him. Though do you use tarot cards or some kind of cards? Because I feel like he spun a card around once, and you were like, so I'm gonna say it this way. So I had a client once and I went to her house and I was like, I was connecting with her father, but she was so like, no, 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 no. I had a heart-shaped stone that I brought with me, and I don't read at people's homes anymore unless it's for an event. But she brought a heart-shaped stone and it literally spun on the table. It had been sitting fine. Nobody got up and moved. Like, it was a solid level table and it spun. And so I was like, oh, he's just sending his love. But really, he was like, I think feeling guilty because she was like really making it so hard. You use tarot cards. Okay. You're always trying. Okay. So he said he took a card and spun it, but you were just kind of like, oh, that must have been the wind or the something blue or the fan was on, or, and he's like, I'm literally like, hello. um he's showing me, do you know the deck? What's the deck called? The light, I think it's like the Lightworkers Tarot. I have a few decks, but it's like there's a guy who's, I think it's a knight, and he's like sitting on a, he has a rose and he's sitting on a motorcycle. Does that make sense? I don't know. I wish I had it. It's upstairs. I could run and get the deck if you really wanted it. But he's showing me that. And I feel like that's the card that you resonate with him. And he was like, that was the card I spun. And I don't know if that's like the Knight of Wands. Um, so he said, you don't have to try so hard. Um, the more you relax about it, the easier it'll come through. I do feel like he talks in your ear. Uh, and again, you dismiss a lot of it because you're like, oh, that's, I'm just making that up because of course, like that's the way my brain works. Like, you're sort of, um, it's easy for you to do the work for other people, but when it comes to yourself, you feel like it's you assume like, oh, that's just my brain, whatever. Um, so he's kind of like, I'm literally talking into her ear. And so it's sort of like, just lean into like being like, okay, that's him. That's not my brain, just wanting it to be him. Like, feeling him around is easy, but it's like the talking part is where you're like, oh, no, that's like probably just my brain. It's like too obvious. And it's like, this, that intuition is really obvious. Like, it's subtle, but it's also like people dismiss it a lot because it's like, oh, well, that, like it's kind of obvious. When you learn to like understand what it is, you pick up the subtlety of it more. Did he have an issue with also having like dizzy spells or losing his balance? And I don't feel this is around his death. I feel like this is something that he dealt with. And also, he keeps saying, like, we were meant to have very different paths. And he also says, I knew I wasn't meant for this world long. Like, I don't know if he ever expressed it to you. It's just a feeling of like, I knew I wasn't meant to live to be an old man. Um, did he ride a motorcycle? Because he keeps bringing that up again, too. So you saying like, oh, he should have had a better and a good life, but he's kind of like, no, like this was the life I was supposed to have. Um, and he goes, I don't have any regrets. Like I don't feel like, oh, it's he's as much as he was not spiritual at all, like literally not at all, he's kind of like looking at it from that side now. And he's like, no, like this, I had to live this life this way. There were things I needed to learn this way. Um, Oh, that's interesting. So he's like, I've lived a life before where I was like perfect and everything was great. And he's like, um, you know how some actors and actresses say, like, I just want to live the life. I want to like be the bad guy sometimes. It's kind of fun to play the bad guy. And he's like, it's kind of fun to be that. Um, but again, I don't feel like he's like, there are some people who are like, I screwed up, I did a lot of things wrong. He's like, I did what I needed to do. Like I did what I had to do. I did what I was set to come in to do. And like he's saying, I'm sorry if it hurt you. That wasn't, but that is also part of our lesson. And I don't usually get a lot of readings like this where it's like, this is like, there's a part of him that even though he was not what people would call spiritually ascended, it wasn't that he just, because he is, um, but that wasn't the role he needed to play in this life. And in many ways, I do feel like you're okay with his passing, even though you just, you said you knew he would. I also feel like you're okay with it in the sense of not like there is a sense of peace around it. Did he ride a motorcycle? Did I ask you this? Just because he mentioned it a couple of times, like he showed it on the card and then he kind of mentioned it again. So I'm just curious about that. Never rode one. That might be something that comes up where it might make, so maybe you'll I know that sounds weird, but maybe that'll be a sign for you, just like of a validation of some of the stuff where maybe you'll see a bike with his name on it, a motorcycle with his name on it, or I mean, I don't know. Or I don't know, because he's mentioned it twice now. So it's something that's like I can't necessarily explain it, but it might make sense at a point that's not right now. And he doesn't even want to talk about his passing and the things that he messed up. He's sort of just like, this is all okay. This is a part of the process. And also that like he's sort of saying, but I think that you know this, that it wasn't like the hospital could have done more if they would have just done this instead of this. It's literally like they literally did everything they could. And he also sort of decided like, yeah, that's not a life I want to go back to. I learned what I needed to learn and I'm done. And there is an aspect of you getting the lessons that you needed to learn. Having gone through all that you've gone through with losing, two siblings, it's not the hospital. Having two siblings, like lost two siblings, it actually really helps you in your, which doesn't always feel great, right? Like, oh, you went through so much stuff so that you can help others, but genuinely it does change the depth of your readings. And you can see this, you've watched other readers, I'm sure, where you see like people who are really young and clearly haven't experienced too much stuff. Their readings are just much more surface level, and there's not necessarily a lot of empathy or understanding for the struggles that people go through. It feels like you're leading people to a lot of their own self-healing. He said he's happy watching you grow. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a lot. And congratulations on helping others, because that is a great way you're going to be using it. I do also think you'll be using your intuition through that. You're definitely on the right life path. But he's happy watching you do all of that. He goes, for the sake of brevity, I'm going to go now. I was like, okay. And he kind of like tapped the table, like, I'm going to go now. I was like, okay. I don't feel like he was a man of many words. Here's the thing. I know you say I'm doing it for him, but I really think there's a big part of you that was genuinely meant to come in and do the work. Thank you, Julia. But like, it's also for you too. There's one part of it that I want to say this. So, and I feel like you won't save everybody from crossing over, right? But you being connected with them and showing them something of like, because I do also feel like you're going to use this spiritual part of you in this somehow, will shift their healing on the other side. So because it doesn't feel like if somebody passes, it really does feel like when somebody loses their battle to addiction and it's somebody you've been working with, it's important for you to know that you're going to be shifting their process on the other side. So to do your best to be gentle with yourself as you go through that loss and that process. You're very welcome. Hi, Roxanne. How are you? You're very, very welcome. Do you have a YouTube channel? Because I feel like there's somebody who has like a champagne that I used to watch a while ago that did readings on YouTube. That's why I'm wondering. And if you do, if that's you, I like your channel. Oh, Rock John. We were shifting from private readings to move into doing the general ones because I want to go. It's getting a little bit, I know I started a little bit late, but I don't want to be on too long because my mom's here. It's her last night. And it's okay if you don't want to answer about the YouTube channel. Okay. Does anybody have any general readings or general questions they want to ask? And if not, I'm going to say goodnight. You don't have YouTube. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, no, Rockdown, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Champagne C, but she might have already bounced out. Sorry for the miscommunication. Champagne C said she, and there was like, used to be somebody I watched, and it was Champagne something, and she would do these like tarot readings on like, I remember she used to like, I watched her like around, she would read on like Donald Trump and things like that. So it was interesting to watch her. Plus I just, she had an interesting style. So I enjoyed it. It was enjoyable to watch her. Anything this eclipse will do to us emotionally? No. So the eclipse thing for me, I feel like whenever I watch that stuff, I'm like, like people are like, it's going to hit some people a little bit harder than others. And I don't know all of the placements, but it has to do with your own personal birth chart placements. But it's not like this. It's like it's like a slow, gradual process. It's not like, oh my God, like the whole world has shifted and I have nothing new. Just like with anything, it's something that you'll look back on and go, oh, I see how that shift happened. It's not to like blame every tower moment that you have on it. After you see blood sugar, need to maintain. Oh, hang on. It's definitely so. And I'm an Aries rising, and I know it's also supposed to affect Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. I think most heavily, maybe Taurus. I can't remember. So like for me, or I would say probably you too, it would be like, oh, you're starting to see people for who they are and letting go of things that no longer serve you. That's like the positive end of it. The negative end of it, if you decide not to step into it, means like, it's like that just kind of stays and maintains who you are. But it's also something that like the shift happens over the next 6 months. It's not something where it's like, bam, you're going to have it happen right away. And then also depends on like how your other planets align up, but that. I think on a like, and this has more been leading up to it on a like a global, like general level instead of on just a personal level, it becomes more of like more and more people are going to be their true colors are going to be shown. So all these celebrities that we've seen where we're like, oh, they're kind of scummy and slimy and like J-Lo is getting a lashing over on TikTok. I don't know about anywhere else, but like where like everybody's like, she's a horrible person. Like you don't hear any nice stories about her. A lot more people are going to be coming out to have that. I think they're also going to see a lot more truths being shown about people in power, and by like I'm talking about governmental power and shakeups that way. I also there's something around, I know this sounds weird, but like more documents being like more information being revealed about I know it sounds like silly, but it's like aliens and things that like have been like governmental to you can't handle it kind of the thing. And people like looking at like the old story of people going, people just couldn't handle this, when really it's like, yes, they could. You're just trying to, again, control people. I heard something today where it's like people couldn't handle the truth of like the aliens, like religion would fall and governments would fall. It's like, well, the economy wouldn't fall. And what really would happen, like religion, is like the Catholic Church would crumble because uh, a lot of religions actually, they would, and that would maybe affect the economy slightly, but not really. For them, really, it would just be like a fire sale of property in order to cover their losses. Um, I do see there's going to be more earthquakes, but I'm feeling more in Southeast Asia. And I don't know enough about geography, so I'd have to look at a map. But it's just, no, it's not the whole economy. So I want to say that, like, when everybody's like, "Oh my God, everything is not going to crash and fall and be this travesty type thing." It's literally like going, we don't need to have people in government who are running things like this. Like, I think, was it Arkansas that just voted a Democrat in, which had been the incumbent had been a Republican, something like that. And like they're looking at like Ted Cruz's seat in Texas. Um, and his seat is actually up for grabs and it's never been in question, right? So it's like in play, I guess it should be. So it's like places where it's like everything has always been status quo. This is how it is. That's how it is. And people going, no, 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 we're making a change. Like that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean that all the economies are going to fall apart. And really, there might be a little bit more tough times with money. By 2026, I feel like money is going to start being better because there's going to be some more regulations put in on corporations. The reason why it got so bad is Reagan and deregulation and all of that stuff, and Bush deregulating a lot of the corporations and stuff. So, they're not going to have a decent turnaround until 2028. And I don't mean to sound this as being callous, but the feeling I get is like, this is going to sound really callous, but it's kind of how the world is, I guess. People don't care enough or see them as valuable enough to take care of them. So much like what happens in Palestine, people did not see Palestinians as being valuable enough until it was too much to ignore. Remember back in October, I said, we are going to be on the wrong side of history on this. Like, it's going to get worse. It feels like for Haiti, it's like till 2028 before we start to see some aid going in there and some things making some shifts. And it's not about shifting their government or changing their government, because I don't see that happening. It just feels like aid coming in to help and like heal. So I don't know. Some of you have followed me for a while now, and I've said that for a long time. It's going to get kind of not great, and things have kind of sucked. It's not been awesome, and um, it's still a little bit bumpy through like 2026, and I feel like it starts to get better then. Um, Yeah, people work so many hours. They've been too busy to see the realities. I'm hoping that will change so that they get to see through. Yeah. So it's not just that people are too busy to see. It's that, there's been a lot of great propaganda, a lot of gaslighting of like, oh, it's too difficult for you to understand what's going on in the Middle East because it's been going on for so long. It's too difficult for anybody to understand that. I thought that for a long time. I believe that. So like, it's the same thing with coming out about like aliens, where they're like, it's just too much for you to be able to handle. We're protecting you. It's like, it's probably really not. Like, there was some announcement the other day. I was like, well, there's probably a mothership somewhere. It's like, when you say that, it probably means there's three. Like, and we've been working with them for a long time. So, yeah, I'm going to say it is. It's just that people are like, oh, you couldn't handle the truth. It's just, you're so weak. And it's not that at all. It takes away power from them. And my sense is that the more truth we see, the less power they have, the less mass control that they have. And the less greed that billionaires are able to, like, like, things will tumble and fall. But it doesn't mean that when I say tumble and fall, that doesn't mean the whole world is going to garbage. Like, this fear factor of like, it's all going to turn terrible. And like, I don't prescribe to that. I definitely don't want to, or subscribe. I don't subscribe to that. Sorry. I don't want to give into that energy, because that's not what I feel ever. There will be more earthquakes in the East Coast, but not, maybe in a couple of years, but not, again, nothing massive that's going to like tear buildings down or anything like that, just because we live on fault lines. I mean, that's just, there's several fault lines here in New Jersey. And so to think that like there isn't shifting of the tectonic plates is silly. I did not. So I was telling them earlier that, so the 2011 one, I felt, excuse me, because I was in the bathtub in my apartment in Hoboken. So like the water started swishing. This one, I was in my bed, and my bed has like the mattress is like, you're supposed to not be able to feel people moving around in bed or whatever. And so, I was sitting in bed, and I heard like what I thought was a really big truck going by. Like, and I was like, oh, and I was like, I was reading. And so I wasn't really fully paying attention, and okay. And then I walked out in the living room, and my husband and my mom and my kids were like, did you feel the earthquake? I'm like, wait, let me think. Huh. And then there was an aftershock later in the afternoon, and I was like down in the basement. So I was like right at ground level. So you would think like, oh, you would have felt your feet. Did not feel it. So, but my kids were like, oh, we just had another earthquake. Cause like we have, what do you call it? Cabinet with a whole bunch of dishes in it. I'm just gonna call it that. I can't think of the actual, like, there's a name for it. I don't know. My brain is slipping, but, and the dishes rattle in there. So like, but like nothing broke, nothing happened. So no psychic here. I'm just kidding. I just didn't notice it. So, yeah, but yeah, I think we'll have more on the East Coast. I mean, there's going to be a lot of big changes to it. And also when people are like freaking out, I don't know about if you guys have heard about the CERN thing. Even if it pushes us into a whole other dimension and like another universe, and like that stuff probably happens all the time. You just don't realize it. So keep moving about your day. Don't worry about it. It's like people freak out about like, oh my God, they haven't told us that. Well, you'll be okay. Everything will move on. I don't know. All right. I'm going to say goodnight. I hope that is okay with you. It's 5:55, angel number. Take that as a meaning. I hope you all have a wonderful week. If anybody wants to join my psychic development circle, it's $222. That is just a little bit over an hour reading. I still have a couple of spots left, and I would love to have you join me. We'll work on self-concept along with developing your intuition and doing circles and readings. The self-concept work is going to be on your own, and there's going to be a meditation that I'm going to give you to do on your own to help you connect in. Let me know. I would love for you to join me. All right, everybody have a good one. You can find that on my website under Zoom events, because that's where we're doing it. Okay, have a good one. And it starts Friday. Okay, bye. Now I'm going. Bye.